Is Chile a good place to raise kids? After having and raising my two daughters here, I can tell you one thing for sure. It is not what I expected. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastasia and I live in Chile with my family, raising my two beautiful daughters here. So the video today based on real experience and not just some research. So let me tell you about the pros of raising kids in Chile first. Number one, a lot of nature and a lot of learning about nature. In Chile, you have pretty limited, but a lot of access to nature. What do I mean by that? I mean that you cannot just stop your car on the street and go out to the forest and walk, but you do have a stunning amount of natural parks, of rivers, lakes, mountains, all kind of hikes that you can make. I think it never ends. I thought that I visited every single place around here in Pucón, and no, I still have some places that I find. So nature here is stunning and it's completely different, and you can go by your car from the same place in Chile. You can get to the mountains, you can get to the rivers, to lakes, to the ocean. So it's absolutely different. Also, because of the weather conditions, kids get to spend more time outside than inside, especially if you don't live in Santiago. So yes, you get to have this slower lifestyle, more connected to nature. Going outside for a walk is becoming an absolutely casual thing. And you're not just going out to walk in the city. You go out in the parks, you collect pine cones, So for kids, living here is a blast if you give them access to nature, because there's a lot of it. So if you don't limit it, if you put accent on it, if it's important to you, obviously. And then on the weekends, every single weekend, you can go to different places, explore different kind of natures. Another thing is the healthcare. The healthcare in Chile, well, I said a lot of times that it's pretty pricey. Yes, it is, but can you find good doctors? Yes, you can. Even if you're a foreigner, you can still find somebody who speaks English. You can get some recommendations and find pediatricians and other specialists that are good and that you're really gonna like. So at least you know that you spend your money not on some mediocre healthcare, but on a good one. If you strategize it correctly, if you ask questions around, if you consult other families, you will be able to find an accessible, good healthcare. I still believe that Chile is pretty child-friendly. I wouldn't say Chile right now necessarily wants to have a lot of kids, because as I mentioned before, it is pricey to have kids and you need to pay for everything. But in terms of is Chile friendly to kids? 100%. You go on the street, there are a lot of people who are just gonna smile and say hi to your kids. If your child says hi to a person, they're not gonna just say some bad words, in response. They are literally gonna just say hi and make everybody's day better. You can go to cafes and restaurants with your kids. You can go to cinemas, amusement parks, everywhere with your kids, and nobody will tell you anything, At least, I don't know, I never had an experience like that. I still believe that it's pretty friendly, and there are more and more of these places where you can actually bring your kids to play. Not only, play groups and activities, but you can have a cafe with a room for kids, or for example a library with a special room for kids. And also nearby you have a place for you to work. So they're trying to combine these places and make the life of parents a little bit easier. How I feel right now. If not cheaper, then at least a little bit easier. Another pro that I really like is the flexible education choices. You don't have to send your kids to school. You can homeschool them. You can send them to Waldorf school, to Montessori school, to any alternative school. You can literally world school around the world and then pass the exams with your kids. So they're very flexible about education, and you can select the lifestyle that suits for you and for your family. By the way, I made the whole video about homeschooling and it's already on the channel. If you haven't seen it but you're interested in it, go check it out. And now let me tell you a little bit about the cons of having kids in Chile. I already mentioned it before in my video when I made the comparison with Russia. Like in Russia, the government pays you to have kids. So the more kids you have, the more money you get. The more kids you have, the more privileges you get. The more, like, you get free access to museums, to the transportation, to education, to food at school. So you get a lot of very amazing bonuses for having big families. Here in Chile, you don't have any of that, and you have to pay for every single child. So you're having kids, you're paying. You're giving birth, you're paying. You want to buy a bigger house, you are paying. You want to send them to school, you're paying for all of them. Of course, some schools and some like activity centers, they offer you the discount for the second, the third child. But objectively, if you have like a middle salary, having more than 2 kids is very difficult. Okay, so now let me tell you about numbers of how much does it cost to have kids in Chile. So in my family, we try to cook most of our meals, obviously for some special occasions or when everybody is like completely stressed out at home, then we would do a takeout. But even though trying to cook all of our meals, groceries is more expensive than our rent. It's almost twice as expensive as our rent. Can you imagine? It can be easily around like $700 or even up to $1,000 a month to groceries because they are expensive here. And if you want to get good quality, if you want to get like fresh meat and fish and fruits and veggies, you know, all of this balanced diet, then it is expensive. It can go up to $1,000 a month just on groceries. Next goes education. So people say that yes, public school is for free. Well, first of all, public school is limited both in the amount of places that they have for kids, but also in education and their resources. So they actually do ask to pay you money to inscribe your child. Then you need to buy some things for them to take to school that they can use there. You need to buy books because most of them are limited on the amount of books that they have available for kids. So yes, when people say public school is free, you know, it's with this star. It's free, but you have a lot of additional things. If you want a good education for your child, most probably you're not going to send them to public school, you're going to send them to private school, which can be up to, I don't know, anywhere starting from $400 and all the way up, depending on the school and its level. Like we wanted to go to the kindergarten, yes, kindergarten, not school, where you had to pay about $400 a month for half a day at school. At the kindergarten. So it is pricey, you know. And apart from all of this, like monthly payment, you also need to pay one time every year, something that is called matricula. So you need to pay matricula for their yearly expenses, how they call it. And you pay it not only in school, but also in all the activities that your child has. So for example, my kid, she's going to ballet, she's going to gymnastics, to karate, and everywhere I need to pay all this matricula apart from the monthly payment. And you know, when you have all of this starting in March, because here the school year starts in March, so imagine if you send your child to private school and to all of these activities, which means that you need to pay double of everything because of this matricula that you need to pay also in March. So yeah. Then you also have some semi-private schools, which means that they do have some subsidiaries coming from the government, but you also need to pay it. And this is cheaper than the completely private schools, but you need to pay about like $200 dollars a month, 150, depends on the area where you live and the school where your child is going. And yes, if your child wants to go to private school and you have more kids, you have to pay for each of them. And these are like the averages that I got while trying to inscribe my child to kindergarten last year. So yes. Another thing is kids' activities. Okay, so let me tell you something very nostalgic. In Russia, yes, I go back to Russia a lot in my mind, you know. When I was a child, I could go to a bunch of activities that were free or almost free, which meant that I had to like buy the uniform, but everything else was free. We had big centers that looked basically like schools. And inside this center, you go once a year and you can go to any activity that you wanna. Dance, robot building, chess, drawing. You know, we had so many different possibilities there for different ages. And it was for free. Here, they don't have these kind of centers in Chile. So if you're going to multiple activities, they are most probably going to be in multiple places. You need to pay for each of them, matricula, how I already mentioned, plus the monthly fee. And they're pricey, you know, like for example, I was trying to get my child to ballet and they told me it's about $80 every month that I need to pay for 1 hour of ballet a week. So 4 hours of ballet for $80 in Pucón. I'm sorry. This is not like ballet capital, you know. I don't know what you're gonna do there for 1 hour a week, but $80 for 1 hour? I'm sorry, crazy. But yes, most of the activities are around like $50-$80 a month for your child. Plus you need to buy the uniform, which can also be pretty expensive, like about $40 a uniform, you know. And basically all depends on which activities your child want to do. Like gymnastics is pretty expensive, right? And then you have some swimming lessons that are also pricey because they need to have like a swimming pool. If you want to ride a horse, I mean, I don't know what kind of a millionaire you are, but super expensive. Yeah, let's just say about $100 per lesson, or sometimes for 2 lessons, but very expensive. So these are the prices, right? So it is expensive to have children in Chile, especially if you want to give them a good education and put them to a bunch of activities. It costs a lot. But on the other side, they have also a bunch of activities from municipalidad, from the government. For example, this year we are going to the activity organized by the government of Pucón, and they organized a family theater. How nice is that? So this one is completely for free. And they have a bunch of those. They are trying like to support families because as far as I understand here, like you either have very rich people or very poor people, and there are very little in the middle ones, you know, like me. So that's why you have either free activities or expensive activities. And again, it varies completely from place where you live. Like for example, when we lived in La Serena, the ballet was expensive, but it was super good. Like the level of ballet lessons was another level. And then we went to Santiago, and there we went to ballet to, you know, a neighbor doing some classes, and it was super cheap. But also, you know, well, the level wasn't so high, but it was super cheap and super nice. So everything depends on what you find, where you find it, and the level you want your child to take. And then you also have all kind of outings. Like if you want to go somewhere with your kids, yeah, we're not even talking about the prices for the gas. I mean, that's another story. But the cinema, some games for kids, it doesn't sound like much. I understand it. Like if you take everything separately, it's kind of doable, right? But again, if you have kids, you want to do all of it, probably every month, you know, like give them education, put them to activities and stuff, and also take them out, you know. So yeah, it all ends up easily to about, I don't know, like $2,500-3,000 a month if you pay for education, because like we homeschool, right? So I'm not paying for school, which is wonderful. But homeschoolers, they have completely different spendings, like the printer and stuff. Yeah. But yes, you can easily spend about $2,500-3,000 a month for a family of 4. If you have kids, if you send them both to school, both to activities, you want to buy them good meals and cook them, I mean the meals, the food, not the children. Don't cook your children. So yeah, it is pricey, Another thing that you need to know about raising kids in Chile is that you're always gonna need to have a lot of paperwork wherever you're going, like going to activities, registering them to school, anywhere. It's all paperwork. It takes time. So just, be prepared for that. Like, for example, I wanted to get my number of document to my daughter's birth certificate, and it took me half a year to do that. Just to put my number, but yeah, it took half a year for them to do that, and a lot of paperwork from my side. So anything like that. Another thing is, especially if you're a foreigner, you need to be prepared for the fact that like a lot of Chilean kids, they never heard people speak other languages, or they did, and then it's a plus, but like most of them didn't. So sometimes when I speak with my child another language on a playground, the kids, they just get like confused, a little bit scared, and they go away. Or on another hand, if kids, they study English, they study other languages, then they come to us and say, oh, and which language are you speaking? Oh yes, I have some Russian friends. And it's a wonderful friendship growing from there. But you need to be prepared for the fact that it can be hard for you and for your children to make friends here in Chile, especially if you're a foreigner, because they are like open, they're friendly, but they are not letting you in their life as easy, So yeah, like strong bonds, strong friendships, these can be an issue. So, for me raising my kids here in Chile, well, what can I say? I don't have any experience of raising them anywhere else. I raised them here in Chile. Are there a lot of things that I don't agree with? Yes, there are. That's one of the reasons why we homeschool. Do I wish there were more playgrounds and like things for kids? 100%. Do I wish it was cheaper? Yes. But also, do I really enjoy going out with them in the park? Yes. Because let's be honest, here in Bocon, nature is so accessible like never before in my life. And if you live in Santiago, you have a bunch of beautiful playgrounds, just like stunning playgrounds, that you wish you had when you were a child. So even if you don't have that much nature around, which actually you do if you have car especially, but yeah, if you feel like you're missing on that, then you definitely have like, free libraries, you have playgrounds, you have parks that are meant especially for kids. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful experience to raise your kids in Chile. And if you're planning to move here with your family, just keep in mind all of these costs that you're gonna have to make, all of these choices you have to make before you move here, and just do it. Sorry. But yes, if you do have some questions left about what it's like to raise kids in Chile, how much does it cost, everything, maybe, I don't know, some best places where you want to live with Chile, then yeah, write me a comment. I will definitely answer you, or I will make a video about it, so it's a win-win. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.